So Medicaid is an essential and necessary program. I should know because 40% of my constituency is on Medicaid. And the reason, partially, that we have that many folks in Oregon in my district on Medicaid is because of, I'll call them liberal policies. We can't get back into the woods where the jobs are so that we could drive down poverty in one of the most poverty-stricken spaces in the United States. We can't get into the mines. We can't get into where water is. So guess what? People are broke. They don't have the jobs they used to have. So, all right, fine, 40% on Medicaid, an essential, necessary program. If you go back and look at the history, by the way, I think this bill should be called the Accountability Bill, because what it's striving to do is make groups accountable for the billions and billions of dollars that we're spending. So accountability, let's go back to 1967 when Lyndon Johnson was trying to pass Medicaid. He and Congress back then imposed criteria, eligibility criteria. You couldn't just everybody get on the program, no. It was the aged, the pregnant, the children, the disabled. From day one, there were criteria that had to be met, from day one. So why would anyone complain that we've heard over and over again about us suddenly here in this many, many years later, demanding that people actually meet the standards established so long ago? What happened? Did accountability go away? It shouldn't. This program is costing us literally billions and billions and billions of dollars. And if we want to continue to have any chance of maintaining this essential and necessary program, we better make sure that those who are utilizing it actually meet the criteria established so long ago. Why would people object? And that accountability goes across the board. There's been so much said tonight, it's hard to pick out any one thing to address, but something that I've heard over and over again is it's all about the billionaires. It's not. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act, if it were to expire, the National Taxpayers Union projects that upwards 6 million jobs would be lost, along with $500 billion in lost wages and upwards of $1 trillion in economic growth. The only way we're able to keep doing what we're doing is because there's taxes being paid. And while we're talking about that, let me bring up a really inconvenient fact for a lot of the folks on the other side of the aisle. The top 10%, you know, those billionaires, pay 70% of the taxes. The top 10% pay 70% of the taxes. Okay, what are we going to do if we run those folks off by raising their taxes, as we heard over and over again? Who's going to pay that 70%? By the way, we also heard over and over again about the 5 million, excuse me, the 8 million people that are going to be affected, and then there's been reference to another 5 million under the AC enhanced credits. The AC enhanced credits, it's actually 3.8 million, but there tends to be some exaggeration. I would just want to say about the enhanced credits, those came up in 2021. They were added on to an already existing credit program. That's why they're called enhanced credits. They cost about $335 billion over the next 10 years if they're renewed. What happened? Just in 2021, just what, 4 years ago? That a new feature was added in, and suddenly the Democrats suggest that it has to be permanent. Why? What is this? A ratchet that just goes one way? We can, once having done it, we can never go back? Please, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're talking about a bill that involves 8 million out of the 70 million people that are on this essential and necessary program. We're talking about 8 million people out of the 70 million people. But if you listen to these folks over here, you would think it's all 70 million. It's not. We're talking about 8 million, and of those, as we already heard from the gentleman from Texas, many don't belong on there at all. So why in the world wouldn't we be extraordinarily cautious in how we extend this benefit? And by the way, a work requirement for those who are able, for the $9,000 a year it costs for them to be on that program, I think that's too much to ask, that they at least try to get a job or they volunteer. Come on. So what irks me is that the same tactics used years ago are being used now.